There's so many videos for In the Image Clothing Company where you can hear people drifting and just exhaust going nuts right here. It happens quite commonly. So today is the 18th of December 2024. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is our company. Anyway, so we are called In the Image Clothing Company because we are all universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. And our whole company is centered around the gospel of Jesus Christ. We talk about our bodies, we talk about the skeletal system, because the fat content comes and goes and the muscle mass comes and goes. And so we just talk about the body as it is. We allow it to work. That's the biggest thing you'll hear us ever talk about. That's the only approach that we have, is allowing. We're never telling our bodies to do anything because we can't. They only do what they do, and everything has a neutral, and then from there it goes into the angles and positions that it does. So yeah, let's get into this a little bit, meaning let's proceed. We have, so for everybody, clothing needs to fit where the pants are entirely above the hips, entirely above them, so those hips can just open and do their natural things, slightly higher in the front than the rear, and then for the tops, the shoulder seams need to be behind that little bone that's actually at the other end of your collarbone to allow your shoulders to be in their neutral position, and then ideally just right at the very edges for the edge seams. I've had two prerequisites to just allow the body to have a chance to operate natural since before I even founded In the Image Clothing Company, and then we get into depth. So the first one is to lace your shoes with the technique that we use, because it just allows the foot to be unaltered, paired with tying your shoes evenly over toward the inside. There's two sides of the body, it's got to be even. And then the second one is to remove all the tags from all of your clothing. Anywhere a tag is, it's causing a gap that's unnatural only in that location, and it's changing the body's natural workings to like it's changing them a lot. And even within the tongues of the shoes, if they're hard to remove because they're heat shrunk on there, sometimes you can just, meaning sometimes what I've done, meaning that's what's happened to these shoes here. You take a knife or some scissors and put slits into the tag. The point is, if this is the top of your foot, your ankle and your shin, that tag's right around in here, and you need to be able to dorsiflex your foot, meaning lift your toes, and that's going to be really pretty much not able to happen if there's a tag there that's so slippery and synthetic. So yes, anyway, let's get into this. What I want to talk about is my hands are kind of stiff, it's cold. I just went on a good probably 6-ish mile walk. People don't move through life usually. People move through clothing. And this is what I mean by that is, if your clothing's not sitting where it needs to, in the most natural locations and angles for your body's skeletal system to just connect correct, so that the musculature of the body, which all that does is pivot and hinge and rotate the skeletal system, can all do its job. That's all. We got to let the body work. That's it. There's no need to ever stretch. There's no need to ever work out or exercise to get capable. The body's designed to work. The body would always work. There'd be no reason it wouldn't unless there was a reason it couldn't. And that couldn't could be anything. But unless there is something, the body would just work. And it's just a machine designed to operate. So when people are going through life, they're not actually going through the earth. They're not actually walking around, and they're not actually doing the things they're doing. What they're doing is moving their bodies around their clothing. Because if your clothing's not sitting where it just has to allow the body to do its natural thing, then what you're always doing within that clothing at all is moving the clothing. And you can watch, you'll very, very rarely ever see me, I only use myself because I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. You'll rarely ever see me adjusting my clothing. It pretty much doesn't happen. You could probably find a time or two. I'm not saying it doesn't ever, but it really shouldn't. There should be never a time when you're adjusting your clothing, because all that means is that it's in the way. All that means is that you're using muscles in ways they're not designed to try to move an external thing out of the way of the body so that it can then do its thing, which it should just always be doing, because it only does that, meaning just the only functions that the body actually has. So people are going through life, but they're not. They're going through clothing. That sounds so funny, but it's so real. People are going through clothing. It's like everything you're doing, you're not doing that thing. You're working around your clothing, and you're trying to like get your sleeve cuffs off your wrist, and you're trying to get your shoulder seams to sit where they should, and you're trying to pull your shirt up so you can sit down, and you're trying to like pull your pants up so that you can step up or like bend down, and oh my gosh, or you're trying to pull your pants up as far as not just the legs but the waistline. Like, I'm not mocking nobody, bro. I'm not mocking anybody. I did this until I was, until like pretty recent. I'm 25, and I mean, it was probably till I was about 24 up until maybe, between there and now. I was doing the same thing, but it's just ridiculous. People aren't going through life. They're going through, like, what's stuck on them. And it's so silly, is really what it is. So, oh goodness, you can see it. I mean, you look around again, not it's not about me, but like, you can look at me just because I'm doing these things. I'm very intentional about it, is what I mean. You can look at people like me, not you know what I mean, and you can see like they just are a human being, and their body's just doing its thing just because it's allowed to. And then you can look at other people, it's like they're lost within their clothing. It's like you gotta like get a shovel in there and get all this excess clothing out and find the human being that's in there. People get lost within their clothing. That's what's happening. And it's silly. It's silly because it's reversible. It's easy to fix. Check out In the Image Clothing Company, we discuss truth. But that's the whole thing, is like, we talk about being in the world and not of the world, right? Our entire company is centered around the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the entire thing. People get lost within clothing, man. I mean, like, being of the world, that's what it is, man. It's like you get, you get caught up in dressing a certain way. And I'm not saying you can't do whatever. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm telling you how the body works, universal, okay? But people get so caught up in like wearing what, certain things, but those things that they're wearing are inhibiting their body, is the point with that. So you gotta let your body work, man. You just have to. And if you got a question about how to do that, you won't have any questions on how to do that if you check out In the Image Clothing Company. Even up until today's date, we got enough stuff. Really, we have enough content to where you got all you need with our information. And it's not about us, but it's just we discuss truth, right? And so meaning we're gonna keep growing and keep getting bigger. In the Image Clothing Company will be a lifelong thing for me. It's gonna be awesome. So it's just gonna get bigger, broader, more information, more stuff to know. But that's what I'm saying, is even as of today's date, you got enough content if you can go find our stuff to just anywhere online, is what I mean. 2024, we got the internet. People are getting lost in clothing, man. I mean, you should never have to go through life and feel like you're not. I mean, you don't want to ever have to get your sleeves off your hands to like do things. You just want to be able to, like, look, my sleeves are entirely just like where they'd be, and I'm just gonna be able to do things, right? Your hands should just be able to work, and your feet should be able to just flex with your, pants not restricting them, and you should be able to just open your hips without having to get something out of the way for that to happen. So I'm only saying this again because we're gonna change lives with all this. So people don't go through life, they go through clothing. And I know for very much experienced, I'm an experienced clothing going througher, is how I'm going to word that. I mean, I've done that, man. Like I said, for most all of my life up until this point, that's how I was living. But now I won't anymore, and it's, now I'm just allowed to be a human being rather than not being allowed to. I kind of want this to be silly. I kind of want it to be, but as real as it is, I want it to just be like lighthearted, because we don't go through life generally as people, man. As human beings, we're fighting everything that we're in contact with always, and that's our whole thing, right? We talk about clothing. We are a clothing company, but for the sake of the human body, because that's the only thing, that's the biggest thing that could ever affect us to the degree that it does. And we've said this, and we say this, and all the time, but the point is, we got to see it like that we're not actually interacting with what we're doing. And it's that really is what it becomes, is people get lost. It's like you have to like try to find them within what they're wearing. So that's a huge indicator. That's the thing that's going to like tell you if your clothing is fitting you correctly. If you're feeling like you're going through your clothing rather than going through life, then that is the indication that whatever that thing is that you're like noticing, you need to address. And I'm not telling you got to do something, but for the sake of your body doing it, the only thing it does, you got to address that thing. If there's like an intellectual, like you notice like, every time I reach, I seem like I have to get my sleeve off my hand. Address it. And I'm not telling you something to do, but the point is, you're gonna get sore and stiff, and your body's just not allowed to be working the only way it does in those cases. And so it's like what we always say: do not address your body. Don't stretch. Do not. We always say we do not have to stretch. Don't do that. Don't. That is something I'm telling you not to do, because it's not gonna help you. You're gonna do it again and again and again and again. Don't address your body unless there was an injury, unless there was an actual real event that took place. Do not address your body if it's not working correct and you're just not sure why. Address your clothing. Period, and done, dude. I love it because it's truth. It's real. It's truth. It's real. Everybody's got their opinions about like, well, how to get your body to do blank, and we just say you're not going to, no matter what. Nobody's gonna get their body to do anything. We just have to allow it to do what it's designed to do. I say this all the time. I say it all the time, but I'm not being redundant. It's that simple, man. It's that simple, and that's it. So don't go through clothing, but go through your life. And we're gonna allow that to happen, meaning we're gonna provide a way for that to happen without you having to do modifications within your own clothing. We will have clothing that we will sell, being a clothing company, and it's gonna be always 100% natural materials. And so it won't ever have any kind of stretch, because that's so unnatural. It'll stay centered, because that's what we have to do. We got two sides of the body. We've got the sternum, the spine, and the nose in the center. We have to stay activated, working as a whole. That's the only way the body does work, is in its entirety together. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll have stuff for you to be able to purchase, but I don't ever want to tell people they got to buy stuff to let their body work. So we got a ton of modifications. We actually really do. I don't want to make that, I don't want to say it all silly and slang. We have a lot of modifications that we really do that take nothing but a pair of scissors. As of today's date, there's been nothing that I've shown within any videos for In The Image Clothing Company as far as things you can do within the things you already have that take anything besides just one pair of scissors. My hands are quite cold. So let the body work. That's it, and that's it. The point is, just don't go through clothing. Well, what'll happen is you'll start to see the separation, man. I mean, because you start lacing your shoes correct and tying them even, and then you remove all the tags, ideally get your clothing to fit correct, and then at that point your body will just start to get out of these patternings, and you'll start to notice that when you go to do something, like you're going up to a sink or like someplace, with water coming out to like rinse your hands off, and even when, now, let's say like now your clothing's fitting you correctly, you'll go up to it and be like, all right, and then wait, they were already out of the way, the sleeves. Like, you'll notice these kind of things once you start allowing, keyword, your body to get out of these chronic patternings, potentially from years and years and years within the same clothing designs, with tying shoes the same uneven, right? A lot of things like that. So just all the things we discussed, heels off the shoes, right? Just everything that we discussed, just to allow the body to just work as if it had no clothing on it, out of modesty, but for the sake of how it would work. Once we can allow our clothing to sit on us like that, that's the whole point, that's the whole goal. It's like you can just be like feeling like you're not wearing anything, but be entirely covered up and modest. That's the whole goal for every human, because that's how the body works. So we got to go through life, not go through our clothing. And there we go. Thank you. We got three avenues of, we got three avenues of In The Image Clothing Company. We have the main side of things, the human body and clothing is what gets discussed here. Then we have In The Image Clothing Company podcast, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. Our entire company, as I've been saying through this, is centered on the gospel of Jesus Christ. The whole point is we didn't design this thing. We didn't make this body. We didn't even decide if we got it or not. This is what we have to travel ourselves through this earth. We are just spirit children of our living God. And we just go through this earth, you know, and this is our vessel to do that. So, the gospel of Jesus Christ is the truth of all things. Don't believe me on nothing. Don't believe me on anything I say when it comes to In The Image Clothing Company or just anything in life. Don't believe me because we don't got to believe each other on stuff. Truth is universal and apart from all of us. So we discuss truth. We're equal sinful humans. We recognize that. But yes, the gospel of Jesus Christ is what we discuss within the podcast. It's a beautiful place for us to all be able to stay centered and to grow. And it's beautiful. So then we also have In The Image Clothing Company music, which is another side of things, right? And there we're just gonna be sweet. So just stick around if you'd like to check in every now and then, or if you'd like to just like keep up to date. Either way, no matter what you want to do, thank you for checking this out. And just, yeah, you gotta let your body experience this place here, man. And it's you don't want this like buffer between you and life being clothing, something that's like almost causing like a separation from your experience on this earth. And so In The Image Clothing Company, again, we discuss things. What we do talk about applies to every single human being that exists. The degrees might vary because maybe you're wearing clothing that's already fitting you pretty well and already sitting pretty much in the right locations and already, you know, the things that we're like getting people to see and know and understand, truth, right? But maybe you're very far from it, as I was for so many years. And so no matter what, the things that we do talk about apply to every single human to ever live, and it always will. That's the beauty of what we discuss being truth. Again, the gospel of Jesus Christ is the truth of all things. It doesn't change. So what we're talking about here, you can go hundreds of years into the future or whatever, and there's not really like a future, but you know what I'm saying? And it will always apply to people, man. So that's what's so beautiful about this company, is it's not about any kind of thing that comes and goes as all these other things about opinions of what could help your body do. No, we just discuss truth. Just let it work. We're not telling you to do nothing. I'm not doing anything to my own body besides allowing it to get out of these chronic patternings. So we got to just go through this, because that's the thing, man. We not only have we been given this body, but we've been given this earth to experience, and there's a lot here to experience, and we don't want the buffer. We don't want the clothing to be something that's like in between. It's just us here, and here we are. All right, so there you go. Thank you. Like I said, it's the 18th of December 2024. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Stick around, man. Stick around. You don't got to do nothing I say, like I said, but the point with that, if I didn't fully say what I was saying there, don't believe me. Don't believe our company. Don't believe anybody, really. Pray about things, but the point is, what we discuss is truth, and truth manifests itself to you and within you, and it's something that no matter if you want to believe or not, it's still true. So yeah, no matter what I say, don't believe it, but it's true. Unless I'm making mistakes. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. So cool. All right. Cool. I'm feeling the past few days here, I'm feeling a real big like, all right, you know, as if like, here we go. Company now has all these foundational videos about the things that I was just discussing, the modifications, the discussions on, you know, we have like a lot of videos titled How Clothing Affects and then Parts of the Body, right? And we have our Truth Behind series where we discuss the truth behind, and we go into misconceptions on things that the body does or interacts with or movements. And then we also have the Lifestyle series where we discuss how lifestyles are affecting people's bodies because of the positions they're in or because of the clothing that they're wearing, as far as like dress code or whatever within those things. And so we got a lot of foundational stuff, and it's going to always, like I say, apply to what we talk about. And so we've got this whole like, it's like dropping an anchor, you know, and stuff we can always come back to, stuff that can always be like, this is where we started, and now it's like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years down the road, whatever, you know, and I'm still like talking about the same stuff. And that's the cool thing about this. Like I'm saying, it will never change, and it's not dependent on the times, it's not dependent on the way the world looks or anything at all. because the point is, it's about the human body, and it doesn't change. Our God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and we are designed in His image. That's where our company's name came from, within the Holy Bible, within the Book of Mormon, two true books of doctrinal scripture, historical records and events, and the Word of our living God. Within those, it discusses all the time how we are designed in the image of our God, and that's where our name came from. And so we talk about that all the time. Again, the podcast is going to be so awesome, and yeah, it is awesome. I mean, we've already got, up until today's date, we have 20 episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and it's been great. It's just it's cool, man. It's cool. So yeah, check us out, and try what we say, man. Always just try. You don't gotta believe it, but you do it, it'll manifest it to yourself. Truth, you know, the truth of what's within what we're discussing, and then there you go. You're not gonna like stop doing it once you realize that it's true. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. And then this is the thing, if we ever say to share what we're doing here at In the Image Clothing Company, it's not the same way, like I'm saying, that another company would say to share their thing, like their opinion or their products. It's nothing like that with us. It really is not, because it's truth, because we're not selling things, we're just sharing information. And so this stuff's life-changing, and people are just always going to be benefited by what we talk about at In the Image Clothing Company. So yes, anytime we ever say to share anything, that's not us like hoping to get like recognition from the world. No. Although, yes, we want to get recognized as far as the truth that we're sharing. I really want it to be very clear. With the internet today, and so many companies, there's so many people that are just saying like, I'm going to make a product and it's kind of good, but it's kind of not, and I just want it to work, and I want people to buy it, and I just want everybody to recognize what we're doing so that we get all this credibility and garbage. If that sounds accusations or mean, I don't care. We're not doing that, okay? The point is, I don't need that. Our company doesn't need that. We don't need some kind of like recognition. We want to share all this stuff because we're spreading the gospel. Because every single human being has a body. And all that we're doing is letting the body work. Now, when it comes to like the music side of things, that's just going to be really, well, I mean, we'll see. I don't know exactly how that's going to look. But yeah, I mean, when we're sharing stuff, I just don't want it to sound like I'm just somebody that's trying to get recognition on nothing. Because I honestly don't care. I like to be left alone. So, yeah, share this. Thank you. All right.